Between now and the coming weeks, government agencies will be lobbying for more funds, justifying their proposed spending next year before Congress. We talk about the 2019 national budget. I'm Pia Hontiveros. This is On the Record.
Pinopropose nyo ngayon, 40% reduction in the budget.
Siguro ang DBM ang kayang maka-explain.
Lahat yun, ginawa sa ngalan ng cash-based budgeting.
Our guests for this episode, Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno. He's live here in the studio, and hopefully we get to have on the telephone Majority Leader, House Majority Leader Nonoy Andaya. Secretary Diokno, thank you very much for being here tonight. Can we begin with definitions? What is obligation-based budgeting and cash-based budgeting?
Obligation-based budgeting is where you just have to find a contractor, and then the project can be paid for many years thereafter. Let me give you an example. Right before we assume office, the practice is you have a 2-year obligation budget. Okay, so a budget this year, you have until December of next year to obligate.
To use that money. To use that money?
No,
to obligate?
Obligate. Just find a contractor or a supplier.
Okay. All right.
So you can find it in December. So that's year 2. And then you spend it on year 3, the project can be done on 3rd year, and the payment can be done on the 4th year.
Okay, although the funny thing is that when the executive presents its budget on the day of the president's son or the day after, it is a budget for the following year,
Correct.
for 1 year,
Correct.
a 12-month period. But now, what you're saying is itong obligation-based budget, nagsistretch lang siya.
Correct.
So naka-program siya for, halimbawa, 2016, yung pala 2017, 2018 pa mababayaran.
Pwede, ganon,
Okay.
ganon. So we don't have that luxury of time. It is not practiced in many countries in the world. So this is an annual budget. You're supposed to spend it during that year.
During that year.
So the cash-based budget, on the other hand, is we force the agencies to spend the budget on the year, on the fiscal year, complete all the projects, and then we have a 1-quarter extended payment period. So the budget for 2019, we have until January, Feb, and March of 2020 to settle all the payments. Okay? But it has to be done within the fiscal year. So the cash-based budget projects are done faster. So the benefits are enjoyed by the beneficiaries, like school children, patients,
more classrooms, for example,
and the
more
contractors
barangay
get
health
paid
centers.
sooner because under the old setup, you probably get paid on year 4 rather than.
Okay, and that was a very common complaint, ano, ng mga government contractors,
yes, of course.
na hindi sila binabayaran, halimbawa.
Correct, and also it increases the cost of the project because the cost of money is high, and therefore the contractors will input that in their estimate.
Yeah, and every year, every so often, every few months, the equipment, for example, materials get more expensive.
Yes, and plus it's also more difficult to track. Remember, 3 years, you're tracking budget for this year, and it will end up on year 3. So it's more difficult to track. While the cost-based budget is more tractable, more transparent, and quicker.
Yeah, well, that's an eye-opener. I had covered the House of Representatives for a very long time, many years ago, and every year we would have what we call appropriations committee hearings, and every time the impression that we would get is that we're talking about money that is going to be budgeted and spent for that year, or sorry, for the following year. Yung pala hindi. So what you're saying is, yung dapat na ganung practice, yun lang ang gusto ng DBM na mangyari ngayon.
Yeah, we want to change it from obligation budget, which is, as I said, a slow, intractable system, to a cash-based budget, which is faster and easier to track.
Okay. So, well, you brought graphics here with you that, well, it looks very clear, and I wanted to be able to...
the utilization rates.
Yes. Ano to, you want to address underspending. Okay, we're obligation-based versus cash-based budgeting. It is the this one. No, not that one. The other one. Well, just a while ago, you already explained it, but I wanted you to show it to us in graphics form, just so that it's made even clearer. On the left, we have. All right, no, that's not the one. But we're going to show it in just a bit. Obligation, yeah, it's this one. Obligation-based versus cash-based budgeting. On the left, you have your obligation-based, sir. I think it's with you. You have your,
yes.
Yeah, this one.
This
okay.
one. On obligation-based, you have, as I said, 2 years to just find a contractor or supplier. And then you have until the 3rd year and the 4th year to implement.
Okay, you're referring, yes, sir, you're referring to the rectangle. I was about to say square. Rectangle pala yun. You're referring to the rectangle on the left, the red one, which nakalagay obligation-based.
Now, on the cash-based, you have 1 year to complete the project. Okay, 1 year, and then you have an extended period, payment period of 3 months. So the projects or this activity is completed much sooner, as I said, and it's clearer.
Yeah, I wish we could zoom in, but we can't. So I'm going to try and explain it. And, sir, help me, no? Yung obligation-based, we can see there's year 1. What is the other one? YN? On the,
it could be year 2, year 3.
Year 2, year 3. So nagsistretch over a number of years, no? So may obligation of funds, the first line, the second line, implementation period, tas pahaba ng pahaba, the green and then the orange line, delivery, inspection, verification, acceptance, and payment.
Correct.
As opposed to what you were saying a while ago, which is shown on the right-hand side, which is entitled cash-based. It is limited to 1 year, with a 3-month extension period to pay.
Extension period. Now, we agreed that the budget consists of 3 parts, right? You have the salaries or the personal services, you have the maintenance, and you have capital outlays. So we agreed, Congressman Andaya and I, and our group agreed that we will extend the extended payment period from 1 quarter, 3 months, to another
to 2 quarters or 6 months.
6 months.
Okay.
But this is only for projects.
Only for projects, because obviously we can't do that for maintenance and operating expenses for salaries.
Correct.
Because you pay salaries every 15th and 30th.
Yeah. Plus, if you work, for example, overtime, and it's now January 1st, then that should be counted under the new budget.
Okay, just a while ago you said, you and Congressman Andaya, you agreed. Ito na ba yung sinasabi ni Congressman Andaya na hybrid budgeting? Hindi naman ito hybrid, right, sir?
No,
can we clarify
you can call it
now?
whatever name, but the Constitution does not make any difference between obligation and cash. But this is how it's done. As I said, we will limit the extension to another quarter or 6 months only for capital projects.
Capital projects, just for projects. So, in other words, hindi naman ito talaga hybrid of obligation and cash-based. This is still cash-based budgeting, except that instead of an extension period of 3 months, 6 months lang.
You got it.
Okay. So, saan galing yung term na hybrid?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Maybe they copied our hybrid PPP.
Okay. Well, anyway, speaking of Congressman Andaya, we have him on the phone right now. Congressman Andaya, House Majority Leader, thank you very much for joining us. Did you hear what we were talking about just now?
A little bit.
A little bit. Anyway, well, Secretary Diokno, and I hope I get this right, if I did my homework, Sec Ben, correct me right away. Ang sinasabi po ni Secretary Diokno, Kong Andaya, is that hindi naman ito talaga hybrid yung napagkasunduan ninyo. Cash-based budgeting pa rin ito, except that hindi lang 3 months ang extended payment period, kundi 6 months.
First of all, good evening, Sec Ben. Well, whatever the term is,
whatever the term is. Okay. So, in other words, Kong Andaya, you are just confirming na, ito na nga yung napag-usapan nyo, cash-based pa rin, hindi ito hybrid, hindi lang 3 months, pero 6 months.
Yes, first of all, let me commend the Secretary for him pushing for this reform. Matagal na to in the office. Nagkaroon lang ng problema because first of all, it will be done on an election year and a lot of concerns were raised by the congressmen.
Bakit? Ano bang concern ng congressman in one sentence?
Well,
So,
unang-una,
election year,
you
what
have
do
an
you mean?
election ban. We have an election ban coming in.
Okay.
That effectively, it will be 3 months. So if we did not agree to a one year, 6 month na payment period, yun na nga, nothing will be done within the course of the year. Naturally, there will be spillovers ng mga projects to be implemented even this year, mag-spillover for next year. So that in itself, baka magkaroon ng confusion when we go on a full, let's say, full cash-based budgeting. So I think I've explained it to the members of the House that in anything naman, there's a transitory time. And we agreed on that, kami ni Sec Ben and Chairman Nograles on this matter. So we expect the budget to be passed on time.
Okay, so compromise ito, hindi naman ito hybrid.
Whatever the terms.
Whatever the terms. Whatever the nagkasundo naman kayo. Okay.
Yan ang importante.
All right. So, let's go back first to Sec Beno. You know, because in an ordinary household, for example, when you put together a budget, and then at the end, let's say you budget 100,000 for all expenses, and then you only spend 60, 65.
Correct.
Ang tingin ng head of the household dyan, savings. Di ba maganda yon? It doesn't work that way in budgeting for the
Well, at our level of development, hindi maganda yon. Kasi kung, if you have, for example, shoot or program for 100 kilometers of roads, ang nagawa mo lang 60 kilometers, that's bad.
Yeah, okay.
Kasi
So
really
we
need-
can't, in other words, we can't see that as savings because we need the roads.
We
Ganon
need
ba
the
yun?
roads, we need the school buildings, we need
School
the-
buildings, barangay health centers.
Correct,
And if you don't, kung hindi mo punuin yan, anong gagamitin ng tao? Ganon?
Correct. So,
Okay.
Iba yung household budgeting sa government budgeting.
All right, okay. This is a very good education for all of us. Okay, so in other words, what you're trying to address here really is in underspending.
Correct.
Which
correct.
is
Well,
not good.
underspending during the last 2 years of the previous administration, 2014, they underspent by 303 billion, and then in 2015 by another 328 billion. So that's a total of 631 billion. That's the difference between what they program, what they promised that they will do, and what they actually did.
Okay.
So but if you look at our performance first semester
Yeah.
this year, we in fact overspent slightly by 35 billion. Okay? Because we took advantage of the summer months. So
Yeah.
this is the best time to do the project.
Yeah, when we look at this graph, no, so like you were saying, malaki yung underspending ng Aquino administration.
the blue
no?
bar is the program.
Yeah.
The red bar is the actual disbursement.
Yeah, the red or the orange?
The orange.
The orange, no?
whatever.
And then yung red, yung nasa baba,
Yeah,
yun
that's
yung
the underspending.
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 In other words, when we look at a graph like this and then we see those red bars na malaki underspending, that means
That
equals roads not built.
Projects denied. the
Projects
people,
denied na
right?
hindi-
School buildings not built. Right. That's
Okay,
right.
okay. I think we're going to take a very short break first. We'll be right back. This is On the Record. Welcome back to On the Record. We're talking about next year's national budget. Still with us, Budget Secretary Ben Diokno, and on the phone, House Majority Leader Nonoy Andaya. Secretary Diokno, yung underspending, didn't this happen at the end, very near the end of 2011, nung panahon ng Aquino administration, where so many projects were suspended and there was so much unspent money?
This
right?
happened
That's
a lot, yes.
A lot.
In fact, the underspending was severe in the case of the OTR, remember?
right.
They did not, in fact, it will show in
It will show up
in the
no,
next
in all
graph,
these
right?
in these graphs or graphics. And that is also why, after a while, when they discovered that they had so much money, nagkaroon ng DAP. Tama ba yun? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes, yeah.
But anyway, sir, nabanggit nyo na no, that it's going to show up in the graphs. We have, well, you brought a graph or a graphics na ang tawag, it's entitled Utilization
So,
Rate
it's
of
not-
Select Departments.
Right.
Here,
It's not this graph here.
no, not this
the
one. This
next
is the
one.
eliminating underspending, yung utilization rate of select departments. We're going to show it in just a bit. But
Yes,
here,
that's the one.
yeah,
right?
we're
Yes.
we're looking
It's hard
at
to look
Yeah.
at.
So we're looking at 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. Of course, that means 2013 hanggang first half ng 2016, Aquino administration.
Correct,
And
correct.
then second half ng 2016 hanggang 2017, Duterte administration.
Right.
And if we're going to go through the graph.
There are 5 departments here: DepEd, DPWH,
Yeah.
Department of Health, DOTR, and DA. No? And you'll notice that the DOTR was only spending about 35% of their budget, utilizing
Okay.
other.
Yeah. In other words, what was not built?
Many of their
could have
projects were not built,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
But in the case of DepEd, medyo mataas yun kasi the salaries account for a big part of their budget. Madaling gastusin yung sweldo, di ba?
Kailangan sweldo ng mga
Correct.
guro
And
or
then
else.
you'll notice also that yung DPWH, medyo mababa rin yung utilization niya. No? So this is a comparison between the blue bar and the orange bar in the graph. No?
Okay. Well, we're showing video of classrooms, these DPWH and DOTR projects. Yung findings, correct me if I'm wrong, ito ba yung COA findings for 2017, for example, only a little over 30% of the budget of DPWH was used. So,
Well,
2,300 projects not
Well,
completed?
to be fair with DPWH, that is can be justified by the fact that their budget really increased so much. We, in fact,
okay.
more than doubled their budget. So, siguro,
Yeah.
they were just adjusting.
Yeah.
No?
And dumoble yung budget para nga sa build
Yes,
program.
yes, we want
Okay.
to, because I look at the record over 50 years, we only spent the equivalent of 2.6% of our gross domestic product, the size of the economy. 2.6. That is not impressive. That
Yeah.
is, in
Okay.
fact, very
Yeah.
poor.
I remember during the build forum, you were saying na nga na parang naghahabol na lang tayo eh.
Yes.
We're building what we should have built decades ago.
Correct.
Okay.
In fact, I would think that after our term, the next president should continue the build. We have to
Yeah.
spend something like 7% of GDP for the next 10 years.
Oo. Well, so DOTR also, 26% lang ng budget ang ginamit nung 2017.
And again, because we increased significantly their budget.
Okay.
Almost doubled.
Okay,
More than
DOH, out of 3,200 barangay health centers, only 218 constructed.
Yes. The DOH, I look at the record over time, and they spend only 60% of their budget, and this has gotten worse because of that HFEP, the Health Facilities Enhancement Program, because there were years that they were not able to spend anything.
Okay, so in other words, what you're doing now is kaya bumababa yung budget dahil hindi naman na-spend yun eh.
Yeah.
Ito na lang, ganun ba
Yeah,
yun?
I remember the president was very clear. He told us on our first day, spend your budget, spend it well, or lose it. Lose not only your budget, but also lose your job. And
Okay.
so this is just to give them, both DepEd and DOH, time to, look back and maybe plan better, and so
Yeah.
give them a break, so they can finish all the pending projects.
Yeah, okay. There's another graph here, yung eliminating underspending. And well, we talked about it
Right.
a while ago. But basically, what you're saying here is that
So on the final quarter, on 2017, our first year, we were able to reduce capital underspending. See that small red bar there? That's the underspending. But in the first quarter of 2018, we overspent slightly.
yeah, okay. Well, let's go back to Congressman Nonoy Andaya. He's still on the phone. Cong Andaya? Yeah. Okay. So you were saying a while ago na naipaliwanag mo na sa mga congressmen, no, itong compromise, cash-based budgeting. And
Yes.
everything's fine.
Yes, everything's fine. And let me concur with the drafts being shown by Secretary Diokno. We have a similar study on this. There were years, like for example, in the DepEd, I remember a particular year in which the entire amount for the hiring of new teachers was not utilized. So, sayang yung pondo na yun.
Yeah.
Bilyones din yun. So, I concur with that finding. Ang problema rito is if you move the argument forward, it would really be on the settlement of these obligated projects which have not yet been finished.
What do you mean?
Yung mga underspending na yan, those are actual cash disbursement. It's a different story when you look about the the obligation of the national government. Hindi pa nga nababayaran lahat, but means to say na mayroon pang portion na babayaran pa once na complete na yung project. So that's where the problem will lie. If you abruptly stop yung payment on these projects, you might encounter a situation you are violating a contract. And that is actually a part of a provision in the Constitution. We have discussed this with the Commission on Audit, and likewise, they raised that concern. We might have to encounter certain legalities if we do this abruptly. But after talk to SecBen, we got the extension, shall we say, and I'm sure SecBen will also create some special fund to answer for all of these spillovers.
I want to confirm that in the fiscal year 2020, we will create a special fund.
Yes.
To take care of the things
just to take care of the spillovers ng mga kontrata.
Okay.
Until we get used to the new system.
Teka, yung detalye, pag-usapan natin after the break. We just need to take this very short break. We'll be right back. We're on the last stretch of the program. Our topic, cuts and shifts in the 2019 national budget. Secretary Diokno, your response to what Kong Andaya was saying?
I would like to confirm that. In fact, that's really our plan, that for fiscal year 2020, we will create a fund. It's like a general fund adjustment, which we used to have to take care of those spillover projects. Okay? So there's that fund.
All right. One of the other issues that are raised every time we have something like this na kunyari may underspending, ang dami palang pera. Number one, bakit pa tayo umuutang kung marami pala tayong pera? That's one question.
Right.
The other is, for example, marami palang pera to build schoolhouses, classrooms. Why is it that there are so many foundations that still need to build schoolhouses and classrooms in different parts of the country?
I can't answer the foundation part. Maybe it's out of the goodness of their heart. They want to build more school buildings.
No, but since we have money naman,
no, it's maybe it's a fallacy that we have a lot of money. In fact, we have a deficit of 3%.
Okay.
That could easily be about 500 billion, right? But it's okay to have a deficit if you are going to put it in projects that will pay for itself. Like we have a lot of projects like trains, roads, bridges that we need to catch up with our Asian neighbors, right? We plan to build a subway, okay? So we have to borrow money for that, okay? So there's nothing wrong with borrowing money, by the way, okay? If you borrow money and the rate of return on the investment is how much higher than the cost of borrowing money, go ahead. That's the rule, okay? So that's what we're doing. So it's not true that we have a lot of money. That's why we have to be very careful with the taxpayers' money. So that's why I don't give more money for DepEd, for example, more than what they can handle at this time, and Department of Health also.
Okay, because what are they going to do with the money if they don't spend it anyway? That's going to be, okay, and that is also why it's important for us to be concerned about all these budget issues.
You're a taxpayer, right?
Yeah, right. It hurts. Okay, final words. Let's start with Kong Nonoy Andaya first.
Yes, yung issue ng cash budgeting is actually trying to make the budget more predictable. Nakita na natin sa graph na pinakita ni SecBen na it wasn't predictable in the past administration. We would be saying that we have a bigger budget for infrastructure, health, education, when in reality these were not spent or used at all. The exercise now, or the program being pushed by the reform being pushed by SecBen is a step in the right direction. It makes the budget predictable. It gives the departments, they're put on guard that whatever they receive, they should spend.
Yeah, you have strict parameters. Ganun ba yun?
Yes, ang amin lang, yes, of course. But yung amin lang is, of course, yung post-enactment scenario ang concern ng mga congressmen, which we've already addressed. And hopefully, yung mga cabinet secretaries themselves would ride on the reform being pushed by Secretary Ben. Because in the recent cabinet or recent budget hearings namin, nagiging parang wailing wall nagiging confession time. All disgruntled or disillusioned why they don't have a certain amount of budget which they feel they can spend. So luckily, we found a balance, and congratulations, Sec Ben. Legacy mo to, itong cash reform, cash
Para kay
budgeting
Presidente
reform.
ito.
It's the president's budget, or we can
It's the
call it.
president's budget.
We can't call it the Diokno budget, no?
It's the president's budget.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks.
But thank you, Congressman Andaya.
Yeah, Congressman Andaya, thank you for that.
Thank you, Bob.
Secretary Ben Diokno, final words from you.
Well, we are trying to reform the budget system, and in fact, that's our mission, to make it one of the top 10 best budget in the world, okay? Not only in Asia, okay? So we're doing all this for the people. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Secretary Ben Diokno, Budget Department, and Congressman Nonoy Andaya, House Majority Leader. Maraming salamat. Thank you for watching. That is On the Record this week. I'm Pia Hontiveros.
Pinopropose nyo ngayon, 40% reduction in the budget.
Siguro ang DBM ang kayang maka-explain.
Lahat yun ginawa sa ngalan ng cash-based budgeting.